It's very funny because when I watch interviews from founders and investors from all over the world, mainly Silicon Valley, because we want to learn from that, right? And some of them, they are like, I used to be homeless. I used to be addicted to heroin. I used to smoke lots of marijuana and this and that. And now I'm a kick-ass entrepreneur and I founded whatever, right? And here is our dark past is I was a lawyer or I was in the corporate world, right? So it's kind of like funny, this distinction of the, maybe we don't want to share, I'm not going to get into that. My next question being, you obviously have not abandoned the corporate world and you've been at Aguirre Newman then afterwards, Savills, Aguirre Newman with the fusion for almost 20 years. What is it that it gets you there and keeps you there? What have you found there?
Because I love what I do.
All right.
Yes, and I'll tell you why. I think that there are two important things in my professional work. The first one is the people that I work with, that they are just amazing. I really appreciate them, and I respect them professionally, personally, very deeply, and that's very important for me. And the second thing is the activity itself. I can imagine that real estate activity doesn't seem the sexiest thing in the world, but in my opinion, it is.
And for someone there who's got a prop tech startup, is right?
Yes, that's
for
right.
One person,
that's right. But I am from the traditional activity.
Definitely.
And I'll tell you why. In my opinion, urbanism, architecture, and the real estate activity in general have a high impact in our quality of life because it defines cities, it defines where we live, where we work. And here I have to say that I'm a lucky person because I began my real estate activity in 2003, before the big crisis. And in that moment, in Barcelona we're flourishing several new areas, like 22at, 22at district in that moment was a very interesting place because it was the newest thing in the city, and we had the opportunity to establish there several important companies, international companies that choose Barcelona to be in Southern Europe or in Europe. And we had the opportunity also to close several important deals there. And it was great. I'll tell you briefly, very briefly, but I think that it's a very beautiful story, the story of 22at. 22at is located in the neighborhood of Barcelona, named Poblenou. Maybe you know this area. Poblenou, at the end of the 19th century, was where the industrialization, the textile industry in Catalonia flourished. And that area had a golden period in that moment. But in the 80s, at 20th century, with the construction of new industrial areas outside Barcelona, many factories in Poblenou were abandoned, and that area had an important degradation, was severely degraded in that moment. And the Barcelona City Council approved a master plan in 2000 to transform 200 hectares of obsolete industrial land into an innovative district for working, living, and learning, because there are a mix of urban uses. There are houses, there are offices, and there are a lot of universities there. And I really think that is a success in our city, that area, because in my opinion, gives a response to the new city challenges. And that's great to take part of that.